When the Nazis came to power, Jews from Germany and surrounding countries, sensing the impending danger, began sending their children to Prague as a means of ensuring their protection. Prague was a relatively distant city, full of culture and education. The orphanages in Prague quickly exceeded capacity as hundreds of children arrived each month. In 1938, the successful Czech composer Hans Krasse and librettist Adolf Hofmeister wrote Brundibar for children to perform as a means of entertaining the thousands of children in Prague's orphanage system. In the months to come, Krasse's opera would make its way to Terezin concentration camp. In 1780, Terezin was built by Joseph II as a fortress to protect Prague from invaders to the north. A walled city would serve the Nazis well. Those living there were told to leave. This place, where 7,000 had been living, would now become a ghetto for 60,000 Jews. Terezin, or Theresienstadt in German, became perhaps the Nazis' biggest propaganda deception of the war. Well-known Jewish artists, musicians, authors, and composers from all over Europe were told they were being deported to a health spa, only to discover the truth upon arrival. It was here the children in the orphanages of Prague and other Jewish families in the area were sent as well. Conditions were horrific, crowded, work grueling, food scarce, no heat, no water for cleaning yourself. In the face of horrific living conditions, slave labor, and the constant threat of deportation to Auschwitz, the Jewish inmates of Theresienstadt fought back with art and music. After hours of hard labor, late at night in attics and basements, artists drew what they witnessed. Playwrights staged theatrical productions with makeshift sets and costumes, and hundreds of concerts and lectures provided a late-night escape for inmates longing for a return to humanity. The Nazis established a council of Jews who were forced to decide whose names were placed on transport lists to Auschwitz. They were to decide how food would be distributed as well. The Jewish council set up special places where the children would live. Although children were separated from their parents, every effort was made to ensure conditions for children were tolerable. Teachers lived with the children, keeping them busy, helping them to cope. One of those teachers was a gifted artist, Friedel Dicker Brandeis, who spent several years as a teacher in room 28 of the girls' dorm. When Friedel was deported to Terezin, she chose to bring art supplies in her one allowed bag, somehow sensing there would be a need. Friedel saved over 4,000 pieces of art created by the children in that same suitcase. When her own name appeared on the transport list to Auschwitz, Friedel hid the suitcase inside the walls of the children's dormitory. Her suitcase was found after the war, and the art of the children inside that suitcase was used as evidence in the Nuremberg trials. In addition to art, the Children's Day also included music and listening to their teachers read classic literature. Hans Krasse's children's opera, Brundibar, was smuggled into the camp. The music provided children an escape to a happier place. The victory song at the end gave children hope. Brundibar's defeat was the defeat of Hitler. In the spring of 1944, 17,000 were deported from Terezin to Auschwitz, alleviating the overcrowding. Bathhouses were built, a theater and a synagogue constructed. Even restaurants and dress shops appeared, all in preparation for a visiting team from the Danish Red Cross, demanding to see a camp after troubling rumors of cruelty. The Nazis were determined to fool the world. New clothes were distributed to prisoners, and food rations increased. The Jews wondered. And as children always do, they believed life was becoming different for them. The day of the Red Cross visit, the children performed an evening production of Brundibar in a newly constructed theater. This would be the last of the 55 performances of Brundibar in the Terezin ghetto. 2 weeks later, deportations to Auschwitz and other destinations east increased, silencing the most popular theatrical presentation in Terezin. Of the estimated 15,000 children sent to Terezin, only 132 survived. Today, Brundibar continues to be performed around the world. It represents the power of music and art over the most miserable of conditions. Its music and story, in another setting, may have been quickly forgotten. But the story of how this opera came to be performed and how it affected its young performers is a story that will forever resonate with audiences of all ages. Unlike its creators and most of its first performers, Brundibar has survived to tell its story and to tell it to you.